Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Basically, there is an automatic task which is there in the backend, which is live 24x7. It will activate just because of a certain action which Google has defined. That is a kind of a declarative processing. Second one is in case the user entered date of birth, then age can be calculated declaratively as per the date of birth. This thing we are also implementing in our application. Because if we ask user to enter date of birth and again if we ask user to enter age, it doesn't make sense, right? Because why he should enter same thing 2 times? That means whenever the date of birth is entered, we will calculate the age. Because age is nothing but current date time, or you can say current date minus date of birth. Now we understand what is the difference between procedural rules and the declarative rules. There are different types of declarative rules available in PEGA. The first one is you can say declare expressions. Again, we are using the same concept source property and target property. Whenever target property is determined using some expression, then we can say it's a declare expression. Declare on change. In order to calculate the target property, we have to execute an activity automatically. Now activity is like data transform. But it has more flexibility and it can handle more complex logic. Because in data transform, you have certain defined method to write. We have for each page. We have set, we have remove. But if we have to do something beyond those actions, then activity will come into the picture. Activity basically is again a Java code which we there in the backend. But we will use some TKA defined logic to create the business process. Here, if you see, we are calculating the target property based on an expression. Expression like yesterday. We have checked when copy home address is true, then set home address to work address. It's expression. Now declare on change. It will also calculate the target property. But instead of expression, it will use an activity. Now, third one is the declare trigger. Declare trigger will also use an activity, but it will work for the transaction. We have a transaction in database, right? Like save, commit, delete. These are the transactions. Whenever any transaction happens, this activity will be executed. And whatever you write as a business logic, it will be there. Next is the declare index. This is the advanced concept, where you will create a separate column for separate property in the DB. That we can improve the performance of the whole application. Like we have the SQL. In SQL, we have the where close right. When we select, select. When we select, select. I am not sure if you have gone through that SQL part. You are aware of the SQL statements. I know what you are talking about. Cool. Then last one is the constraints. Basically, it is a site of like, when otherwise, when and otherwise, the same way. It will perform some validations declaratively. It is not that we have to declare somewhere or we have to configure that constraint somewhere. Then only it will execute. It will execute automatically. Any questions till this? This is, like we just seen, the difference between procedural rules and declarative rules. And we saw what are the differences, like what are the different types as a theory part. Now we have to see how we can do the configurations. I took the example of e-commerce only at least particular on chain where I can. That it will be easy for you to understand. Francis, have you tried data transform in your personal edition? No, I haven't got something yet. Maybe what we can do. I will give you an application. Basically a business requirement that you can try to build in your personal edition. That will basically help you rather than thinking about the requirement or developing bluntly anything. It will give you a kind of a flow. What exactly you have to create. If you go to decision, you will see declare expression, declare on change, declare trigger. These things are there. Constraint is there. And declare index is advanced thing. It will be available in a different category. I guess here. Declare index. Now let's first see the declare expression before I open the record form. I will show you because we already implemented this using our age calculation. I will create an insurance case. Whenever I am selected date of birth, let's say this one, age is getting calculated automatically. Let's see. I will go to the case type. I will open the insurance case type. Let's go to views. Declare expression. You can configure again in multiple ways. PEGA has many flexibility in that scenario. Let's go to personal detail. One way is you can configure from this gear icon. For example, if you see for age, it is showing calculated read-only. That means it is a read-only field which has a calculated logic. If I open this gear icon, it will show me the logic. You see calculation function. It is custom because I am writing my own logic here. We have sum, PEGA defined. Like if you want to take a sum of some properties. If you want to take an average of the properties, minimum and maximum, then you can use these things. But if there is something which is beyond these four, then you can go for the custom. And we can write our own function. If you see what this function is, date time difference. We are using a function which is date time difference, where we have to pass two date values. I am passing. First date value is the date of birth. Second date value is today. that is today's date. And then I am passing Y, which is the year. Because in date of birth, I only need the year part. I don't need the months and the days differences. That is why I am only passing Y. This is an expression which I am writing. When I added this thing in the backend, creates a declare expression for me. Let's see. Go to record. Declare expressions. It is not there. Then let's create something then. This is one way to create. I can go here. I can click on this. Create record form. It will start creating. Second is you can go to Explorer and inside insurance class. You can directly right click. Then go to create the session. Then declare expression. And third is because it is created on the property, you can directly go to data model, property. And let's say for which other property you want to create, you can just right click and there is an option, define expression. When you click, it will come like this. Target property is country. That means for country, we are creating this declare expression. Page content. Wherever the property exists in your clipboard, that page structure we have to kill. If it is filler page, then we can ignore. But for example, if it is address, right? For example, I will go inside this one. Maybe address might not be there for now. Address is not there. Suppose if it is within the work page, then you don't have to pass any case context. But suppose it is inside the PI web part, then you have to pass PI verti. Similarly, if it is address, then we have to pass I will not pass anything because this country is in our PI web page. Create and open. This is just a text box where you can write the definition of this particular rule. Why we are creating this. If any other developer or any other person open the rule, they have a clear understanding. For this business requirement, we have created this rule. Below that, we have one more tab. That is a build expression, where it is showing no conditions defined. And below that, we have one tab. Because we selected target, .country. .country is coming there. Exist value. Resolve decision tree, decision table, value. And here, you can write your expression. If required, I can write my expression. I showed you like date time, reference. If you see, this function is a library, PEGA, where you can click and you can search. For example, I need to find the date time difference. I will say difference. One function is available. If I hover on this, you see it is giving me the logic. How to write it? Double date time difference. In the parenthesis, what I need to pass? I need to pass a begin time and a string int Then string. Precession. Same way. I am passing this inside a view. If you see here, date time difference is there. Then one string value for first date, another string value for second date, then the precession. That way, we have to pass it. If you want to pass anything, let's say, if you want to take a sum, you can search sum. If has anything in the library, it will show. If you click on the plus icon, it will add the basic function. Then further, you can add. If you see big decimal, from a big decimal, either I can pass the properties here or I can ask the parameter. Suppose param dot. I will close the parenthesis. How can I test it? Big decimal. I don't want to create properties just for the sum. Let's see if I can directly hardcode values. You see, if we have a property of double, if you pass those property directly, it will take the sum automatically. We can write any kind of expression. That's not a problem. We have seen multiple ways. Either you can directly configure it through this gear icon. You click on the right property, define expression. You can also create it from the record decision. Declare expression. Declare expression. We have two types. First is forward chaining. Second is backward chaining. Whenever the input changes, output is calculated. In a date of birth example, whenever the date of birth change, the age is calculated. This you can read with this definition. Forward means every time it will calculate the tar. Whenever there is a change in the input. Backward chaining means whenever the output is required. There is a demand for the output that it should be calculated now. PEGA will first go to the input. It will execute the declared expression and then it will get the value from the output. For example, let's say this one. We have one field. You have field cost and then you have one more that is order value, or you can say order total. Now I'll add one more here, then open here age. If you see now, whenever we are changing the date of birth, we are recalculating the age. But in terms of backward chaining, whenever order total is demanded, we are not calculating order total by the time we are passing quantity and cost. We will calculate whenever order total is needed. When order total is needed, PEGA will go to quantity, take the value, go to cost, take the value, and then multiply both of them, and then calculate the order total, and then it will assign it to the target property. This is the only difference. Forward chaining. We are going from source to target, and here it is reversed. Any doubt in this? Now, in order to enable declare expressions, we have to take care that this particular option is enabled in Flow Action Advanced HTML tab. Now let's see where exactly it is. Connector, then Flow Action. Inside the Flow Action, we have this HTML. We have this expression enable expression calculation. If this is checked, then only your expression will be executed declaratively. Otherwise, it will not, as per our own requirement. But now PEGA is becoming smart. They have removed that option altogether, that you don't have to bother about whether it is a backward chaining or forward chaining. PEGA itself will calculate it as per the coding which you are doing. That's why they have removed it. But if forcefully you want to select it, then we have one registry option that I'll show you now. I'll just add something. Look, it is not taking this. Which one I can use? I'll use the same. I'll use the same. Use certifications, and you see, as of now, we have not selected anything, whether it's the forward chaining and backward chaining. PEGA itself calculates it in the backends. But if forcefully we have to change, then we can go to option and we have this use legacy expression. If you click this now see we have different tab. We have one more tab introduced in between, that is the change tracking. It was there in older version of PEGA, PEGA 7, but was removed from the PEGA 8. We have some options here. Calculate value whenever input change. Whenever input change means forward chaining. When used, if no value present, that means it is a backward chaining. All these below are the backward chaining option. Only this one is a forward chaining. But now we don't have to bother about this one. Just for the learning purpose or for the concept, I am explaining you. That's there. If forcefully you want to change the tracking method, Then we can enable the legacy expression. Then we can convert, or we can control the forward and the backward process. This is all about the declare expressions. Any doubt in this, Francis? Now you see what will happen. It is giving me error. It is giving me error that exception caught running. Running expression rule of age because library function not found. That means it is mandatory. For declare expression, we have to give the condition, otherwise it will run all the time, whether we are passing date of birth or not. For this one, what we can do? We can create one thing. I will go to view and delete this from here. I will delete the expression from here. Or add the property. I need to delete the property itself. It looks like. I will take the country. I will add the country here then. Or I will add one more age field. Age underscore test. Let's care remained. We must land bus pieced vacuum. Just image underscore I is empty. I am not selecting this here. I will create it from the expression builder. Currently it is saying optional and even crosshair icon is not there. I will submit now. Let's go to country. Let's see where it is. Record expressions. There is some issue with this one. It is not capturing anything. There is an int age. I will define expression. This function is there. Now at this, if you see above, I have one more condition. What I can give like dot state of per is not equals to null. Then only it will set the value of this. I will copy this from here to here. And this one is not required. Like this way we can control it. And once this is active, it will not throw this error. Because then it will check for the date of birth if it is null or not. If it is not null, then only it will. This if statement will be true and it will set the difference. But if it is false, then it will not execute it. It will be outside the loop. Now I will put it back. You see, I added that function and it is converted to calculated read only. And as previously, it was only optional because this was a new property. Let's see. The concept is same. Still, we have to calculate the target property, but this time without the expression. This time we have to run something. For example, I will click on change. Let's open something just created by PEGA system itself. Let's say this one, properties to watch. That means it will have a watch on this particular property. Similarly, we have to pass the property, where it will look at 24/7 continuously. If there is any change in the property, it will execute this action. Whenever a change happens here, it will execute this activity or suspend work. Object, we have two options here. In activity, we can write our own logic. In suspend work, object, we can. It's a case basically which we can suspend. If it is true, we can write one more activity. If it is a false, we can then another set of activity. For example, you say for the shopping amount when you are shopping on the e-commerce website or let's say on Amazon. If your total amount is greater than 10,000, one watch worth $9.99 will be added automatically. Because if you see, here it's an automated process, right? We just need to watch the property which will hold the total amount. Whenever it is greater than 10,000, we should run a utility or activity that should add a watch of worth 9999. Right? If you see here, we can modify the requirement as 10,000. We can modify the requirement of the insurance. Suppose the customer created a case to buy an insurance and the customer entered all the details, personal detail, professional detail and everything. And once they will submit, the case is routed to the audit team or basically the credit check team where they will verify their details and see if that person is eligible for that insurance or not. If they feel like it is, then they can proceed. If no, they want to suspend the insurance. For example, we can create one new property. Let's say, is fraud suspected? Let's say when credit check team feels like this person is doing some fraud and it's not a genuine detail. They can create like this. I'll make this as Boolean. True, false. Now what will happen? This declare on change rule will watch this particular property. Is fraud suspected? Now we have to add a when rule. Check if fraud selected. I'll create this when rule now. Dot is fraud suspected equals to this. To now what we are doing. This on change will watch this property, and whenever is fraud selected is true, it will suspend the work object. What will happen in the suspension? We will provide the out-of-the-box flow. That is a policy override. PEGA provides us policy override flow, and we want to show one message to the user. Let's create one message. Suspend message. Your case has been suspended. Everything is configured. I'll check. Yes, it is there. I'll select and save. Now I have to add this property in our case because till now it is not there in the case. PEGA won't be able to track it. Where should I add? I'll add an insurance details only. Open the section rule. Or let's modify this one. Let's change the property reference. No, but we have a detentor on this form here. I'll add new one. Picker. Checkbox. I'll add in this one. Dot is fraud suspected. Option is fraud suspect. I will also add post because I don't want to save it. Add an action. Click. Add. There is one thing to note here. If you see, whatever we are creating, whether it is declare expression or declare on change, we are not configuring it anywhere. Like we are setting it in the flow or in the DT or anywhere. It's just we are creating it. And PEGA will run it at his own pace. This one is done. Suspect insurance. Now let's create one case. If it will work, I'll submit. I'll select fraud suspect. Let's say randomly has read all these things. It feels like nothing is happening. Let's submit now. You see, this work object is suspended pending a policy override review. That means after you submit the case, it is checking. That means declare trigger is running and it is suspending this work object. Right. This is how the declare on change will work, where you don't have to thinking about whether which case you have to suspend or not. It just you can write this declare on change first for your whole business. And wherever the PEGA feel like it should suspend the logic, then it will, the PEGA. Any doubt in this one? Because we are not going through the activity for now. That's why we are going through suspend work. But the concept is same. Declare trigger. It will trigger declaratively because of the below transaction. For example, if delete happened, if save happened. In the B, if committed, save happened. If committed, delete happened. And if you want to save, watch for a property. If there is any change happen in property and at the same time you are doing a save, declare trigger will execute it. Declare trigger. Let's open. Anything which is by default. By tracking history. You see, trigger when an instance is saved. Whenever an instance is saved, PEGA is running this. Track security changes. I will give you one example here. Let's say, whenever you create a shopping cart, right? Whenever you selecting multiple products and click on the button add to cart, at the same time, Amazon also track your audits. It would track your interactions, like whichever products you will have added. That should be in a synchronous manner, right? It should be automatically because you are not doing anything for that. It just, you are select. You went to product 1. You clicked add. You went to product 2. You clicked add. Once you reach to the review screen, you have a whole list over there. That is the automated step. Even PEGA also provide us field level auditing. And that is completed using the declare triggers. And let's see how the PEGA will create for us. Let's go to the case type. Insurance. Go to setting. You see, we have an option called auditing. Basically, we have to audit any kind of field which we want. For our case, I will enable the audit now. Let's say this is already selected. That is work status. It is out of the box. Property, which will signifies where actually you are in the case. For example, you are pending details, or you are in pending details, pending approval, or you are in the pending credit check. It will capture your status transition. At what time your status is changed, on which date your status is changed, which user had made an action to change the status. I will set this one and I will click on. Let me see if there is any option. When I click on save, by default, will create declare trigger for it in the backend. Let's go to the declare trigger. Is there? Let's refresh it once. Nothing is happening. Declare trigger. Otherwise, we have to create it for ourselves. I will select, let's say, product. This time also, declare trigger. Still, do we have any application? Just application. We have case, claim also. Let's try and claims. We have case. Let's try and claims. Let's try and use type. I'll add. I'll delete this one. Check. It says start. I'll use some English thing. Pending for this one. Pending approval, that's it. I'm going to setting auditing enable work status and save. Again, this auditing was introduced in the recent version only. Previously, you have to do it using an activity. Let's go to here again. Test session. Test session. Test session. Ticket trigger. It takes some time, then it is created. You see, pay by field level auditing for claims. What PEGA did is PEGA created this declared trigger with an option as committed. Save as trigger point. Whenever a commit save happen, in the case into a database, then immediately it will execute one activity that will write the status change updates. You can at least have a look on the activity first. This is how activity looks like. We can add some Java codes and all. And it's a out-of-the-box rule. PEGA providers. You see, it is in the base class. Now let's create one case here. Case type claims save and run. If I go to Actions, View History. This, you see, case history is also coming from a declared trigger. Then we have the field history. This is coming from our change. You see what was old value? Old value was pending. Now it is the pending approval. At what time it is moved and which is the user who updated it. Initially it was only pending. At this particular time at 10:52. After that, the status work changed from pending to pending approved. All these things will work in the back end. We don't have to write anything explicit code for this. If you see, it has only 3 things. When required, that add, else add message. That means suppose if you want to feel like if property exists and has a value, or if property date of birth exists and has a value, then age is required. You can add that expression here. Else you can add a message that age is mandatory. You can customize it with any of the business requirement. With these 3 clauses, when required, that and else. It is very simple. No exceptions are there. Nothing is there. Just 3 things. open case type. Or you can go to this definition. And if you come to the last, there is one test connection. Test connection to the database table. If you click on test connection, you can see this class is mapped to the table PEGA database in PEGA database. That means in our database, we have a class that is PC underscore care like care app work, which will map to our case type. That means whenever you add a property, whenever you save an instance, you make any transaction, it will be saved inside this particular table. And whenever you open any case, that means it will be opened from the table itself. It's just in the UI. It feels like I am opening from the case. I am opening from the case type, or I am opening from the record explorer. But in the backend, we are opening it from the DB table. Correct for now. Let's say if we have only one case type inside one insurance, we have created tons of properties. We have created many things: first name, last name, address, and in the real-time project, these properties may go even more than 100 or even more than that. In those situations, sometimes the performance becomes very slow because even if you want to see the personal detail, you have to open the whole case type. You have to open the whole case. Data is stored in the compressed and decompressed way. For example, this is our case. Let's suppose this is case ID. When you created it, PEGA saved the data into this work table. So it is there. And when you close the case, it decompressed, it compressed it, and again saved it to the same web table. And if you open again, and it will decompress whole work instance and open it for you into the U-Vault. It is a very lengthy process, very space consuming. Memory consumption is very high, which will lead to the performance issue. After that, PEGA introduced a declare index, which is used to improve performance of the query by creating index table like we have in the SQL to the same way. Now if you see, let's say that this work table is only for that particular case. But if I want, I can create this work table only for one property. Let's say I create this only for address. That means if I need to access address now, I don't have to decompress this whole work table and then get the address. I can link my DB directly to this address. Makes sense. This is the actual use. And even if you see, PEGA uses inbuilt declare index to improve query performance. Right now, whenever we open the case, close the case, it's look normal to us. But in the backend, PEGA itself created a out-of-the-box declare index that compress and decompress data into the block. In SQL, everything stored in columns. In PEGA also, we have a block column. That is a binary large object, which is a column of a very high size, somewhere around 10 GB. A single column of 10 GB size, which will hold all the data together in an aggregate way. For example, this work table. This is stored in the block. If I talk about address, then it is not in a block. Because if it is in a block, then I have to again decompress it to access it. There will be a separate table now for access, for address. Declare index will work for our page list property and the page property. This is one more advantage. This might be confusing to you, but if you have any doubt, we can drill down more. I think my head is full for today. Even our topics are also done. Your automatic processing is also completed. Right. It is like Heidegger concept. You have to only understand. One more liners. Declare expression works on expressions. It works in forward way on chain. It works on the property watch. Declare trigger works on the transactions like delete, save, commit and all. Declare index improve the performance. It will create a separate table that instead of the blob column, it can directly access the data from that small table. Constraint. Simple 3. When required, else message. That's it. This one, learners, you have to remember that you can apply it on the. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.